Hello and welcome to On the Record. My name is Mary Malaney and this is my record collection. This week we're taking a look at Guys and Dolls with music and lyrics by Frank Loesser. The original production was directed by George S. Kaufman, one of the writers for the Marx Brothers. The dances were done by Michael Kidd, and the original cast included Sam Levene, Isabel Bigley, Vivian Blaine, and Robert Alda. The show is based on a series of short stories written by Damon Runyon, hence the name of one of the opening sequences, Runyonland. The story they used the most was the Idyll of Miss Sarah Brown, in which a gambler must convince a mission doll to go on a date with him to Havana in order to win a bet. Now, the original writer for the book was a man named Joe Swirling. However, he got fired and his whole book was thrown out. But his contract stated that his name still had to appear. So, here it is, Joe Swirling, next to the writer that they actually used, comedy writer Abe Burrows. He came in to write the book after Frank Loesser had finished the entire score. The role of Nathan Detroit, the ringleader of the oldest established permanent floating crap game in New York, was written specifically for Sam Levene. In fact, Laurence Olivier said it was the best stage performance he had ever seen. Still, Levene was not really much of a singer, so Loesser only gave him one song that he could kind of talk-sing his way through. Loesser was very particular about how his music was sung. In fact, he once slapped Isabel Bigley because she didn't sing the following song up to his specifications. I'll know when my love comes along. I won't take a chance, for he'll be just what I need, not some fly-by-night Broadway romance. I'll know by his calm, steady voice, those feet on the ground. I'll know as I run to his arms that at last I've come home safe and sound. Until then, I shall wait. Until then, I'll be strong, for I'll know when my love comes along. Until then, I shall wait. Until then, I'll be strong, for I'll know when my love comes along. I personally can't quite get over the fact that Loesser just slapped Isabel and didn't have any repercussions. But his wife did make him apologize and then coach Miss Bigley privately until she was able to sing the song the way that he wanted. But this wasn't even the beginning of Loesser's strange antics. Apparently, the word on the street among equity actors was that the audition process was weird. Loesser had everybody sing Irving Berlin's Blue Skies higher and higher and louder, and then he had them all scream, "Help!" This was because there were no mics used in the production, and so his motto was, "Loud is good." Another strange audition tidbit is that the role of Big Julie, the gambler who has 33 arrests and no convictions, was actually played by a man who was in jail during the audition process, and they had to wait for him to get out in order to audition him. After all of this, the show opened on November 24th, 1950 at the 46th Street Theater, now known as the Richard Rodgers, home of Hamilton. Orchestra seats at the time were $9.60. It ran for 1,200 performances and won 5 Tonys, including Best Musical. It was also selected for the Pulitzer Prize for Drama, but because Burroughs was in trouble with the House for Un-American Activities, it was vetoed. Well, it happened to me kind of funny. Like a dream. Yeah, that's it, a dream. I dreamed last night I got on a boat to heaven, and by some chance I had brought my dice along, and there I stood, and I hollered, "Someone fade me!" But the passengers, they knew right from wrong. But the people all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. People all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under by the sharp lapel of your checkered coat. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. I sailed away on that little boat to heaven, and by some chance found a bottle in my fist, and there I stood, nicely passing out the whiskey. But the passengers were bound to resist. For the people all said, beware, you're on a heavenly trip. People all said, beware, you'll scuttle the ship. And the devil will drag you under by the wicked tie round your wicked throat. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. And as I laughed at those passengers to heaven, a great big wave came and washed me overboard, and as I sank and I hollered, "Someone save me!" That's the moment I woke up. Thank the Lord. And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under with a soul so heavy you'll never float. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down the boat. Movie musical buffs may know that a film was made in 1955 that starred Frank Sinatra as Nathan Detroit and Marlon Brando as Sky Masterson. However, Lesser hated the loss of control over his show and resented the new songs that he had to write to replace the 5 songs that they cut. He also hated Frank Sinatra's performance, saying that it was far too smooth, but he offered to help him with the characterization, and instead they got in a big fight and he never spoke to Frank Sinatra again. He also refused to see the movie, and as far as his daughter knows, never saw it. Still, both productions did have his classic title song. Call it sad, call it funny, but it's better than even money that a guy's only doing it for some doll. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next week.